You're going 70 miles per hour. How long would it take you to drive 70 miles?
70?
There's just some people you know aren't gonna stick around. Even at the absolute peak of his fame, Lil Pump was not liked. That was kind of the point. He was a professional scumbag who looked like a moron, acted ignorant, and reaped massive success because of it. He was truly a train wreck you just couldn't turn away from. But even in the here today, gone tomorrow world of pop culture, how did an artist go from having the #3 album and song in the country to within a few years literally not charting in any known territory? This is the predictable fate of Lil Pump, the death of hype. So Lil Pump was essentially designed from the start to just be flash in the pan. Before his career, he was essentially just a low-level teenage drug dealer in Miami, and he was constantly getting kicked out of schools, but eventually he met up with the famous rap guy, Smoke Perp, who introduced him to rapping, and he had him freestyle over a beat, and they thought that he did pretty well. Apparently some other people thought they did pretty well too, because the song that he had freestyled over, Pump, became very successful on SoundCloud. I love this article that this reporter wrote that he had later talked to. I had my other illegal means of income though, so I wasn't thinking about rap as a career. It was only when Pump suddenly had 10,000 views on SoundCloud that I started to think differently. And lucky for him, and possibly unlucky for, the greater good of society, SoundCloud rap was becoming the it thing in the music scene whenever this was coming out. The SoundCloud rap scene, especially in South Florida where Pump was based at the time, it was basically made for this drugged out club atmosphere where people would just be flopping around while some guy is up there mumbling some very repetitive beats. And if that's what you're wanting, boy is Lil Pump genetically engineered to fulfill that need. And it's because of this raw, unpolished sound. Many people compared it to the early punk scene in its ethos. It was supposed to be raw. Now, for many people, myself certainly included, we thought that Lil Pump got big off Gucci Gang. That is apparently not the case. In my research for this video, Lil Pump had actually been fairly successful in the South Florida rap scene, for a South Florida drug rapper. I think it may do good for all of us if I more accurately describe what I mean when I say famous. Infamous may be a more apt description in this situation, because from the beginning, Lil Pump was just the meme. That was certainly how he was perceived while he was famous, but you may be pleased to know that he was viewed like that from the beginning. It always seemed that Lil Pump received much more attention from his online antics than he ever did from his true musical quality. The things that would make Lil Pump eventually into this inescapable tabloid fodder for the internet were also what just got him the ability to become that tabloid fodder. But he did have some kind of perverse knowledge about how to get notoriety, because he was able to get to the biggest video posted on Lyrical Lemonade, the famous rap channel, at the time that it was posted, which is incredibly respectable considering he did not have a label or any type of major musical promotion at that time. He was already enough of a interesting person that people just, wanted to gawk at him. And something that very much surprised me, the dreads and the tattoos were not something that really came about in the boardroom, although they likely expanded on it, which I'll get to in a minute. By the time that he releases D-Rose, which is, once again before the major label came in, he was already Lil Pump. He was identifiably a nuisance already at this point in time. And I swear to God, there must have just been some 50-year-old Warner Bros. Executive in a suit, likely named Barry, in a boardroom somewhere, who just was scanning the internet, saw Lil Pump, and decided that he was to be the rap messiah for this, groundswell SoundCloud rap movement. And presumably they brought him in for a meeting and they were like, hey, can you just be annoying and, we'll give you money? He was like, say no more, friend. But he probably was like, "Esketed," or, however you say that. Esketed! And so, 2 weeks before his 17th birthday, Lil Pump signed a very lucrative deal with Warner Bros. and the roller coaster had begun. They used their network of social media influencers to push his music to 160 million followers. This resulted in a 6-fold increase in Lil Pump's SoundCloud and Instagram followings, and through this major label connection, he was able to get 2 Chainz, Gucci Mane, and Lil Yachty on his debut commercial mixtape, which once again hit number 3 on the Billboard charts, with Gucci Gang hitting number 3 on the single charts, which is insane for a debut mixtape from, once again, a SoundCloud rapper. And something that I learned that is actually hilarious is that when Lil Pump signed that initial contract, because he was, once again, 16 years of age, he was too young to legally sign it, so it was legally unenforceable. So he just got to keep the advance that he had gotten from the company and just signed again for a bigger deal that he got to keep also. So he just performed the great rock and roll swindle, but somehow it's stupider. However, to speak a little bit more about the music itself, Gucci Gang was kind of received at that point in time in the broader rap community as the apocalypse. We had finally gotten to a point where many of the old heads had thought that hip-hop had strayed so far from the light that we were ready for rapture. It was a true Idiocracy is a documentary moment, because just imagine you were into conscious hip-hop. Hip-hop that speaks about the plights of the community and wishes to fix them. Or maybe, you just actually graduated from high school. Either one works in this circumstance, and you look and see the video for the largest rap song in the world at this point in time. A song that would go on to have 1 billion views. And these are the lyrics from that sonnet. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. And it was from this point in time that Lil Pump essentially just became arch meme on the interwebs. I remember at this point in time, there was some truck stop that he stopped at and he saw like a Boy Scout in his Boy Scout uniform and saluted them because he thought he was like a Marine Corps veteran. Good times, okay? Can't say that he didn't give us anything, you know what I mean? What made people hate Lil Pump so much was he was literally a personification of a meme, in that he was truly a meme. Every single thing that people had been complaining about in rap for decades, and that it's too repetitive, it's just about looks, it's just about money. All of these just genetic issues in the genre were just cranked up to 11 and consolidated into one individual. So it was just truly the most hateable person that you could create. And he was always in your face. And it seemed that the more that you hated him, the stronger he became. He was nourished off of your pain. And in this very strange way, because of the hate, it made him more popular. And because of the popularity, it gave credence in a strange way to his music. I think that this can be best exemplified in the infamous review that Anthony Fantano, not me by the way, gave to Lil Pump for that debut mixtape, wherein the possibly most controversial review of the man's life gave the project a 7 out of 10, which was of course the same thing that he gave to Kendrick Lamar, Actual Rap Messiah. And while this did result in, just death threats being given to Anthony Fantano, it also showed that the broader rap community had to at least bite their teeth and bear it because of this success. He had truly just become too big to fail at this point. I remember they would play this incredibly censored version of Gucci Gang at basketball games, and it would just be like 2 beats of just the beat because it was just curse words in the rap that you couldn't say. But they say that pride cometh before the fall, and it definitely did in this circumstance. You can see that in this interview that he gave at the absolute peak of this popularity, where he said, "Those other guys might be good, but none of them has achieved what I have done. I'm the special one." You will definitely be getting some very special treatment as time marches forward, Mr. Pumpernickel. Yes, you will. And the thing is because Lil Pump was the poster boy for this SoundCloud rap movement, he also exemplified all of the inherent problems that came with that movement. Namely that even though that there were definitely real fans of Lil Pump and these other rappers, there was also just a lot of industry push to to make them big. In the SoundCloud scene, there was always accusations of labels using payola or essentially other underhanded methods to inflate the charts.
I want the world to know that Billboard is a lie. You can buy number ones on Billboard. I want that to register in your head. You can buy number ones on Billboard.
And in this strange way, Lil Pump was almost a Justin Bieber equivalent in terms of how he was marketed and used by the industry, in that he was very much a literal child pumped full of drugs and being pushed by actual adults who just wanted to milk him as a money cow. Because of that, many people began to see that many of these stunts and visuals that Lil Pump was a part of were essentially the dirtbag rap version of the Monkees, in that you have essentially this TV show that's just there to promote the music product, which is also in turn supposed to just, reverse promote the stunts, which just feeds into the cyclical loop. So in this weird way, while he definitely did have fame from before, he was being treated as though he was an industry plant. Label problems were not the only things that he was having issues with. Oh, no. Notably, he was definitely on the front wave of the Zampocalypse, which, killed a bunch of people. Not exactly great with the suburban 14-year-olds you're trying to court for your music. But while definitely the industry pushed Lil Pump as the main figure in this movement, for better and for worse, he was definitely not the only one, and not even the most extreme one. Because if you're talking about people who became famous from memes, then 6ix9ine is the actual poster boy for that. He's just Lil Pump, but dialed up one notch more. Lil Pump has rainbow dreads. Well, 6ix9ine's got larger dreads. Lil Pump has obnoxious face tattoos. Well, 6ix9ine's got more obnoxious face tattoos. Lil Pump raps about being a rapscallion. 69 goes to prison for the rest of his life. Or at least he should have, I guess. And if just being a completely knotted out bar zombie is your thing, then Lil Xan definitely had you outflanked on that front.
What is your favorite thing about me?
Everything. Everything. I love you.
Okay, what's your favorite physical thing about me? And what's your favorite?
But while all these issues were definitely brewing in the cauldron that was the Lil Pump ecosystem, he still had one big moment in him. That moment being, of course, I Love It with Kanye West. While in some ways this is the biggest song of his career, it definitely kind of felt, in some ways even at the time, a little bit out of date. Lil Pump had mostly been absent from the greater music scene for much longer than any SoundCloud rapper needs to be. And while this was a big moment with the Minecraft suits being memed incessantly over the internet, which for Lil Pump directly correlates to success, it did not take very long for the entire public to realize that this was truly the high water mark for Mr. Pumpernickel. And in hindsight, it's this very weird situation where I feel like this is the only time that both of these artists' careers could have collided, because Kanye had began his Joker arc at that point and needed Lil Pump essentially just to be controversial, and Lil Pump was hoping to grab onto that actual rap legitimacy that Kanye had, but one of them got what they wanted, which was, absolute failure, and the other one didn't get what they wanted, which meant absolute failure. Same conclusion, but, different means. And it brings up the question of what did keep Lil Pump from actually becoming an establishment in the rap scene. I think it just comes down to the fact that people actually never really liked Lil Pump. Sometimes it's just that simple, kids. Controversy is supposed to drive attention to your music. And from there, you convert those people into fans with good music. Lil Pump had one part of this equation, and it was also the most vapid type of attention. He was a guy that you liked to laugh at. He wasn't one that was an endearing force that you agreed with in any real way. And while it is true that no attention is bad attention for the Lil Pump business model, it became very clear that when you're Lil Pump, people can only look at a garbage fire for so long before it becomes boring. And apparently that length of time is about one album cycle. J. Cole had an infamous prediction about Lil Pump on his song 1985, where he was going on about how the kids these days may like you right now, but if you keep doing what you're doing, they will just, get 2 years older and find you irredeemably annoying and cringe. By God, the prophet speaks. And while he had gotten there by, nefarious means, Lil Pump could have changed. Crazier things have happened in the music industry. And so did, Lil Pump listen to this elder statesman of rap trying to give him and other members of his generation some advice? I'll let him answer it.
Do you feel like he predicted kind of like what ended up happening with your rap career?
Nope.
And while I definitely could just detail every single embarrassing incident that led to Lil Pump's demise, it's not even interesting, which is the point. He became not interesting, which for Lil Pump is literally a death sentence. And this decrease in popularity was apparently really getting to Lil Pump. From what we can tell from what he did, it was not a good situation at home. It was so bad that he in fact quit on Instagram in 2020, only to immediately after unquit by coming out and endorsing Donald Trump for president.
And speaking of sound, music, and other things, one of the big superstars of the world, Lil Pump. There he is.
I'm going to be 100% transparent with you on this. In the bizarre world of celebrity political endorsements, this is the one that seems the most transparently just for the money. Not that I think that Donald Trump paid him, because I don't think he did. I just know that Lil Pump knew that it was a very controversial thing to do, so he just did it because it would get him back into the headline. And for many people, that was the last time that they saw him, because that was in fact the last interesting thing that he could do. Which means that I, and the majority of people who checked out of the story at this point in time, missed out on some very interesting twists and turns, like him trying to become an OnlyFans model. By 2021, the entire SoundCloud scene was dead. And I mean that literally and figuratively. XXXTentacion, Lil Peep, Juice WRLD were all gone. 69 was in prison, potentially for the rest of his life, as far as we knew at that point. Lil Xan couldn't be bothered to, do anything but drug. And in this pandemic-infested world, where every day is seemingly the end of times, the thing that people could not care less about is Mr. Lil Pump. And this is a situation that has never been corrected, and you can see this resulting in Lil Pump 2 being released on March 17, 2023, and literally not charting in any known territory. I love that that is the official description. Any known territory. Like, we searched for it. We were trying to find somewhere that somebody listened to this. Most of you have probably not even seen this album cover because you never heard about it, because no one has heard of this. And I'm going to say something that I would have never thought that I would have said back in 2018. I feel sad for Lil Pump. This BuzzFeed article that came out at the peak of his fame is genuinely one of the most riveting things and saddest things that I have ever read. And it is just this situation where he's just this like drugged out Justin Bieber wannabe rap guy who is once again an actual child surrounded by the most vampiric blood-sucking adults who are just using him for the payday. No one cares about him whatsoever. At the time, once again, he's still underage. No one's bothering, stopping him from literally pouring lean on his steak. He doesn't even seem like he's very interested in doing music anymore, because frankly, if this is what the music business is, he's not very interested in doing it, so he's constantly showing up late to things, except for whenever he's being forced to by his label. And he's just trying to numb himself with the most vainest cliche trappings of fame. The article has the absolute great irony of a line saying, "I'ma be 18 forever," he says, waving a joint around. "I get to do whatever I want." Also, apparently his brother in medical learning to be a brain surgeon. That must be a very interesting family reunion. But the thing that I just keep thinking about right now is Lil Pump is currently 24 years old. His prefrontal cortex has still not fully developed, and his entire career is just over. Hopefully he saved on to some of that money. But frankly, I mean, from what I saw in the article, if this is how he lived, he probably didn't. No one will ever want anything from Lil Pump again, because there's nothing further to get from Lil Pump, because there never was anything there to begin with. I have to imagine we're going to be getting some very sad VH1 behind the music specials of Lil Pump in the future, or whatever the equivalent of that is, because there is no way that this ends in anything but disaster. And I'm not saying that gleefully. I'm saying this is actually sad. that the music industry can take someone, but just evolve them into this grotesque caricature of what possibly there could have been. And it really just reminds me of something that Lil Pump would definitely derive a lot of value from. Classic literature, specifically the description of Tom Buchanan in The Great Gatsby, which describes him as one of those men who reached such an acute limited excellence at 21 that everything afterward savors of anticlimax. And if you want to have a life that doesn't savor of anticlimax after you turn 21, watch this video.